What's up, everybody? So the video you're about to watch is a video that I originally recorded in January 2015. It's now currently early April 2015, and I'm putting this out there really just to preface what's about to come. The video is long, it's convoluted, it's a very much a stream of consciousness kind of video, but I took it while I was in the middle of the worst of my acid reflux, anxiety, panic attacks. And I did it because in the hope that one day I'd be able to put it out there once I was better, and be able to share it with people and maybe show them where I was, where I currently am, and where hopefully I'm going. So although I'm not cured, this is a journey that I'm still taking, but I wanted to share it, and I felt like I was in a place where I could actually do that and be able to deal with the work that comes with it. So if you like the video, leave me a comment, let me know what you think. I hope you enjoy it. But otherwise, here it is. Hey everyone, welcome to my first post. This is going to be the first of many, but been going through some shit, and I felt like this could be a good way of processing what I'm feeling, what I'm thinking, what I'm going through, and that kind of thing. And so I'm gonna give this a try and see how it works. Bear with me over the course of the next few weeks. This is my first time doing this. I'm not really I'm not a YouTube person. I'm not a graphic designer or an editor or anything like that. I'm gonna try and make this as I'm not going to say it's going to be raw and unedited. It's going to be like a medium rare, and somewhat edited for your benefit. Otherwise, because anyone who knows me knows I can ramble. So I'm going to try and do my best to just be as honest as I can, leave out as little as I can. There will be some things that I leave out in terms of just for some privacy. But that's going to be about it, and I'll edit it just for sort of, stylistically and stuff like that, but I'm not going to leave out any kind of information. This has been prompted because of what started on December 23rd, 2014, had my first ever panic attack. I have claustrophobia, or I'm claustrophobic, which is a fear of enclosed spaces. And so I'll have a panic attack based on that, if I'm like stuck in a lift or something like that. But this was my first ever panic attack just based on who the fuck knows. Something happened and I couldn't breathe, and the couldn't breathe led to a panic. The panic led to more panic. I didn't do a very good job of controlling it at all. I tried, but I didn't know what was going on. It was the first time it's ever happened to me, and it freaked me the fuck out properly. So, ended up at the ER. They tried giving me something, didn't do anything. I was still freaking out. Ended up giving me, I think, Ativan. I'm not very good with drugs or drug names. I don't try and memorize them, so I just I think that's right. I was given Ativan by IV, and it just kind of knocked me out. But it was one of those things of, hey, okay, you're good now. You were having a panic attack. Now go back home. So I went back home and promptly had another one the next day, as soon as the Ativan wore off, and I don't know why. Ended up going through a period where I actually went to the ER 4 times in 6 days. So ended up going to the ER, went to the ER, came back, promptly had another panic attack the following day, I think, or Christmas Day, I think it was the next one. Went back to the ER again. They pumped me full of the same stuff, calmed me down, went back home. After we'd done this a couple of times, we were like, I think it was the Christmas Day one that we were like, what the fuck's going on? This is weird. And I asked my wife to get online and start looking at symptoms to see, because I was feeling some things, and I'd been complaining of like a blockage the first time the first time I'd gone to the ER, and I'd been complaining of a blockage kind of like, sort of, right in there. And they kind of just sort of, didn't really do anything about it or say anything about it. And that was just kind of it. But through her like going online and looking at stuff and finding things out and looking at symptoms, we were kind of, this sort of sounds like some sort of like acid reflux. And we were, thinking back to things that I'd eaten and stuff like that. And there was some spicy stuff in there. And so, it could have been something with regards to that. And then me panicking based on not being able to breathe. It didn't necessarily stop me from going into the ER again that night, complaining of the same thing. They didn't do anything about it. And I'm not blaming them. I'm just, that's just how it went. And then a couple of other things sort of happened in conjunction that, my PCP was out of the country. The on-call that they had to replace her was fully booked and couldn't see me. When we called, emergency numbers, they said, well, if he's freaking out, you got to get him to an ER, or if he's having trouble breathing, you got to get him to an ER, which is, understandable, but there was nothing treating the long-term thing. And then I finally got to see the on-call PCP, and I was in his office, and I think I was just hyperventilating. I was in his office just breathing, just trying to get every breath I could, just as strong as I could. And my wife was, explaining everything, and apparently from what I heard, I was on some meds, and she told me that he looked terrified. He looked terrified of what I was currently going through and what we were asking of him. So he prescribed some things. Some of them worked. We took kind of the decision to kind of keep me drugged and sedated until my proper doctor came back. And since then, things have gotten better. I've been prescribed a couple of things, been on a cycle of some anti-anxiety meds, which I've now, gone off of one of two. I've got one that's kind of, Paxil, I think, is one that I'm on, that's kind of an anti-anxiety, antidepressant at the same time. But you've got to take it for a little while before it kicks in. It's not like an immediate thing. So I was on like a short-term one and a long-term one. And throughout all that, then I was also doing some therapy. And the therapy was surprisingly useful. Everyone goes through shit when they're a kid. Everyone's childhood is tough from their perspective. I'm not going to claim anything more or less or anything like that. My childhood was rough. And going through some therapy and, helped out. Helped me feel more calm, helped me feel like I was kind of working through something, like there was at least, progress going to be made, it was big for me because of the fact that I felt like I was getting somewhere. I was going to get somewhere with regards to this. And even if it's got nothing to do with the panic attacks, which we're still not sure because no one's been able to say, this has got nothing to do with the panic attacks. It could all be mental, it could be gastrointestinal, we have no fucking clue, which is really helpful. But right now the therapy seems to be helping in some way. So this is kind of me trying to process what I'm thinking, what I'm feeling. There's a stigma about therapy, and I know why, but I kind of also don't know why at the same time, if that makes any sense. Everyone has shit they go through. And even though everyone has shit that they go through, none of us really want to talk about it. We all kind of go to work and put on our faces and, we do our thing and act like everything's okay. I'm putting it out there because I don't feel that I should be ashamed of what's happened, this could be mental, this could be physical, this could be both, but it doesn't make me less of a person to go through it. The number of people that have told me when I've opened up to them and said, hey, this is what's going on with me right now. I've been off work for a few weeks because of it. And I'll be like, well, yeah, I suffered with panic attacks for 2 years, or I still suffer from them now, or, you know, I was on Zoloft for blah, 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 you know, whatever it may have been. I mean, but I never knew. I never got any kind of an inkling. I never, you know, and it's not something that's generally talked about. Because, you know, how do you start a conversation saying, oh, by the way, how's your mental health? You know, are I mean, it's difficult to bring up. And people don't want to kind of show that side of themselves unless, you know, you're being particularly vulnerable to people that you know really well. But I'm just putting it out there, and, you know, I don't feel ashamed of what's happened. I'm going through therapy, and I think it's helping. And I'm going to go through some more therapy, and I'm going to try and navigate the medical insurance game and see how many things of therapy I can actually get, how many sessions of therapy I can actually get before people start cutting me off and saying, no, you can't have any more, or, you know, whatever the process is. But I don't know if this will help me. If it helps one person, then wicked. If it helps just me, then fine. I'm doing this for my own benefit. I'm doing it to process my shit. But if it's something that you've been through, something that you are going through, something that you've got experience with, then, you know, maybe you'll come along for the journey and kind of see how this works out with me. And hopefully that in the course of the next 6 months, I'll be able to look back at this first post and say, holy shit, how horrible was the framing and the lighting and the, you know, handheld phone, this, that, and the other, which, again, forgive me. But more importantly, look at how much I've grown, healed, understood, and changed, that in 6 months I've seen this kind of change and improvement. And that's the number one thing I'm looking to try and achieve with this, in conjunction with everything else that I'm doing. If you have thoughts, leave comments. Trolls, fine. Troll, I don't give a fuck. This is about me just trying to get better. I want to say thank you to my wife for what she's done. She's looked after me. She's been patient. She has helped. She has, even after the umpteenth trip to the ER, she's been willing to be there for me. And panic attacks are a difficult thing to be there for someone for, you know, if that makes any sense, because you're freaking out, but to everyone else, you're like, what's wrong with this dude? I mean, you know, everything seems to be okay, but you're freaking out, and like for no reason that I can tell. So she's been patient, she's been with me, she's been there, she's been solid, and I've needed that. It's been nice to be able to lean on her, and I appreciate everything that you've done for me. So thank you, honey. I love you. I appreciate you. I'm going to sign off before I ramble anymore. I'm going to hopefully edit this down so it's not 1,000,000 minutes long. If you want to leave comments, please feel free. Leave comments. I'll do my best to respond to them. And I start back at work again tomorrow, so we'll see how that goes. But other than that, this is me signing out. I hope that this video, wherever you are, whoever you are, finds you well.